Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of my mission experiences here. Today we're just gonna talk more about my area in Ushuaia. This is my first transfer in Montelivia B, after I got transferred from Centro C. So this is kind of a interesting time in my mission. Right here, we were doing a tsunami, and I've explained a little bit about tsunamis in the past. What a tsunami is it's when all the missionaries get together in a certain area and they go out and they talk about the gospel with anybody that they can find, like anybody that they can see, they talk to. And so it's kind of a really cool experience. And I remember this day in particular, it was really cold, really snowy, but we walked through all of Centro, down into like the merchandise district, like where they sold things. I think this day in particular, there was actually a cruise ship docked in Ushuaia, and so we actually ran into a lot of travelers and everything. But I remember this day was kind of a crazy day. All right, sorry about that, guys. I had to take a quick little break there to fix my microphone. It was having some issues there for a second, but it's better now. Anyways, so we did a tsunami in this area, and I remember walking up the icy hill, talking to people, and then what we were doing was we were bringing them to the church. And so that's why Elder Allen is dressed up here in baptismal clothes, because him and Elder Hollingsworth were in the baptismal font. Elder Dixon, Elder Peterson, and I, as along with the four sister missionaries, our jobs were to go out to contact the people um, in the downtown area and bring them to the church to do a tour of our church building and to show them what we were doing, who we were, what the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is, and all that. It was a really cool time, and I actually remember it very vividly, and it was very enjoyable. It was just a really cool experience to be able to experience and to have with all these missionaries. It was amazing. So this was after that whole thing went down. We decided to all take a pretty cool group picture together, and it was a lot of fun. Here's a really special day. This is Flavio, the little boy that's holding my hands. His name is Flavio. He was 9 years old, almost 10, and that's his little sister right here. Her name is Luz. Their parents were converts to the church, and they lived in Dos Banderas, which Dos Banderas is like the backwoods, like far, far backwoods of Argentina, in Ushuaia, sorry, super far backwoods. I mean, like when I said I got references from people that said go find this burnt down house next to this mangy dog, and that's the house next door to that is the one you need to knock on. Like that reference came from Flavio's parents actually. Um, and it's not that they weren't giving good directions. It's just that was the only way to explain it because there were no street names, there were no streets in general a lot of the time. So that's kind of how we had to receive references in this area. It's a really, really special area to me. But this is Flavio's baptism. And Flavio is just, I remember we'd go to his house and we would have to walk up, literally up a mountain. And then we would hook to the left and we'd walk for a couple miles back to his house, which was like way far in the back corner of Dos Banderas. And that was the only way to get to it is by going up there. And it was pretty crazy because Flavio got baptized midwinter. So it was cold, it was snowy, it was really hard to get to his house, but we were going 2 or 3 times a week to teach him to make sure that he got all the lessons so he could be baptized because his parents wanted him to be baptized. So it was quite the experience. It was pretty crazy actually. Flavio would just had miracle after miracle after miracle with his whole baptism. So the baptismal font in Ushuaia was actually kind of interesting. The water always came out like a dark green color, like ugly algae green color, like this blackboard in the background, which is green. The chalkboard, I mean, it'd come out about that color. It was nasty looking, and I actually had to bleach my baptismal outfit, my baptismal clothes after that because they were stained green from that water. So I don't know what was in that water, but it was nasty. It didn't smell bad. It just was ugly. Anyways, so Flavio, uh, when we taught him all the lessons, he was super ready to get baptized. His little sister wanted to be baptized so bad. But the day that we were supposed to have a baptismal interview with him, because Elder Peterson and I were district leader, because we were teaching him, we weren't allowed to do the baptismal interview. The zone leaders had to do it. So we had to call Elder Peterson, Elder Hollingsworth, or sorry, not Elder Peterson, Elder Allen, Elder Hollingsworth, and Elder McDonald to come and do the interview for Flavio. And like I said, it was backwoods area, super hard to find, and we had to get there early to prepare with Flavio. And so we told the zone leaders, all right, take a remis or a taxi to the foot of Dos Banderas and then start hiking up and we'll come find you halfway. And we were back in Flavio's house, and which was like this little one room house. Excuse me, got the hiccups apparently. Anyways, it was this little one room house, little teeny tiny thing. And they had a curtain to divide it, the bedroom from like the kitchen. That's all they had. So we were there, and because it was so backwoods, our phone didn't get phone service almost ever. And so what happened is we got up there, we didn't think anything of it, that we didn't have phone service. So the zone leaders couldn't get a hold of us. And that was probably annoying for them, but they got to Dos Banderas. They took the remis taxi to the foot of Dos Banderas and they start hiking up. And they're like, they have no idea where they're going, because once you hike up probably about a half mile, it splits like this, and you don't know whether it splits into a Y. You don't know whether to go right or left. We knew it was left, and we knew where Flavio lived, but the zone leaders very obviously didn't know where Flavio lived. And so, and we didn't have phone service, so they couldn't get a hold of us. So we're sitting there, and we're like, the zone leaders are like 30 minutes late. Where are they? And that's when we looked down, we're like, oh my gosh, we don't have phone service. And so Elder Peterson and I got up and we tried to like go walk out to the road. Elder Peterson, Elder Dixon and I got up, tried to walk out to the road to go get some self service, and we couldn't. And we didn't want to walk down the hill because it's like a 45-minute walk one way. And so we were like, what do we do at this point? We don't know what to do. And about 10 minutes later, we're standing at the edge of the road and we say a prayer. We all fold our arms and pray. And Elder Peterson was amazing at this. I have to tell you, Elder Peterson was one of the most inspired missionaries I have ever served with. He was just a very inspired man, and he very obviously was living very worthy of the guidance of the Spirit, because I tell you, I have countless miracles that happened with Elder Peterson in a matter of 6 weeks. But he's like, let's say a prayer that the zone leaders can find us. And so we all just fold our arms. We say a quick prayer. We go back inside and we start talking to Flavio. Kid you not, 10 minutes later, Flavio's dad rolls up in a truck. Or not dad, his uncle rolls up in a truck. Wait a second. No, it was his dad. We had Hermano Campos, which was one of the members there with us at their house, so we could be in their house. And so Flavio's dad was coming home from work late, and we said that prayer, and it just so happened that Flavio's dad, along with probably 5 or 6 other cars, were coming home from the factory late, and they drive up Dos Banderas, and they stop just because the zone leaders walked out in front of them and were like, hey, do you know who Flavio is? And he goes, yes. And they're like, do you know where he lives? And he's like, yes. They're like, okay, would there be any chance that you could guide us to his house? And he's like, oh, hop in the car. This guy that's in a truck just talking to the zone leaders. And so they hop in the truck with him, and they go, so how do you know Flavio? And he goes, well, I'm his dad. So it was just a huge miracle that came genuinely, I believe, from that prayer that we said, that the zone leaders just were inspired to stop a car to ask for directions, and it so happened to be Flavio's dad. Just something that would never, ever, ever happen in any circumstances. And so the zone leaders roll up, they do the baptismal interview, Flavio passes, and they go on their merry way. We go on our merry way. Next day rolls around, and it's the day for Flavio's baptism. Flavio gets baptized. It was a great time. It was just a very spiritual experience. Well, the night after Flavio got baptized, there was a horrible, horrible, horrible storm. Like snowed like 4 feet in one night. Snowed just like crazy. And what happened due to that storm is they lived in the very back of Dos Banderas. when it snows that much, you can't drive a car in that snow because it's so thick. And so they were stranded up in at their house, and so they weren't going to make it to church that day. And so they didn't make it to church that day. His parents didn't make it, and Flavio couldn't come. And what happens is when a convert gets baptized, they have to be confirmed a member of the church and receive the gift of the Holy Ghost that next day. Or else, if they wait too long, then they need to remake the covenant so that records aren't lost in the whole 9 yards. And so we call our mission president. We're like, what do we do? And he's all like, take your branch president or one of his counselors to his house and confirm him a member of the church. And we're like, all right, that's what we're going to do. So right after church, we, right after the block, which the block in this ward was from 2:30 to 5:30 at the time when we were doing 3-hour church. And so we talked to Hermano Campos again because he was the first counselor in the bishopric, and we said, can you take us to Flavio's house? And he's like, of course we can go. And so we go and hop in his car after church and we start driving up there. And I'm in the front seat with Hermano Campos and Elder Peterson, Elder Dixon in the back. And we start driving and we get to the entrance of Dos Banderas, and it's covered in snow. And Hermano Campos is like, I got my snow tires on, let's just go. And so we start driving up this mountain. And I mean, it's a very steep incline. It starts not so steep and then it just gets super steep. And we start driving and he starts going. And just to explain Dos Banderas, there is Dos Banderas, there's the incline of the mountain, and then there's a pretty sheer drop off. It's enough to be probably like 50 feet, if not a little bit more. And it's a pretty severe drop off on the way up the first part of the mountain. And so we're going up this, and all of a sudden Hermano Campos' car just slowly comes to a stop, and you can hear the tire spinning. And all of a sudden he loses traction. He starts fishtailing, and it starts spinning. The whole car starts spinning like this. And I'm like on the passenger side where the drop off is, and I just look over and I'm like, I'm gonna die. This is where I'm gonna die. I literally thought that in my head, like, this is the end. And I was just kind of at peace with it. I was like, all right, well, if this is how it ends, it is. And I just said a little prayer, like, please let us be okay if we need to be okay. And the car, I mean, it is spinning towards this edge, and it's spinning, and all of a sudden the car just like grabs ground and then like slams the complete opposite way and slams into the like snow wall of the mountain, just like stops and gets stuck. And I was just like, oh my gosh, thank heavens. That was one of the most terrifying experiences of my life. And so we were totally fine. And so we like all get out of the car. Mono Campos can't get out because he's like in the driver's seat that's like pinned up against the wall of the mountain. And he's like, can you push me out? Can you push me out? We're like, yeah. And we're like, be really careful. And so we like unhook his car off the lip of the like divot and push his car out. And he just like slowly just like slides backwards, completely backwards down the mountain, all the way back. And he's like, just wait for me there. Before you start sliding down, he's like, wait for me right here. I'll be back in 15 minutes. And so he just takes his car all the way backwards, just like slides down the mountain, parks his car at the entrance of Dos Banderas, and then he hikes back up to meet us. And we hiked all the way back to Flavio's house where we confirmed him. And I have to tell you, in my letter home, I remember I wrote that little 1-room apartment that was lit by one light bulb. I don't know why I call it apartment. The little 1-room shack lit by one light bulb could not have felt brighter and more filled with the Spirit than when we confirmed him a member of the church. I remember that being one of the most spiritual experiences I had in my mission, and just testifying about it right now, I can just feel the Spirit come over me. And it was such an amazing experience to be able to confirm Flavio a member of the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints. Super, just all around crazy experiences. Just getting there, we knew that Flavio was meant to be a member of the church because Satan happened to throw every little issue that he possibly could in our ways to deter us from going to confirm him as a member of the church. So that was just a bizarre experience to experience, and it was just completely amazing. And as you can see here, Elder Dixon was the one to do the baptizing of Flavio. Here's another picture of Flavio. He was just a happy kid with a happy smile. And little Luz, his little sister in this picture here, she was just like one of the most just happiest little children I've ever seen in my entire life. All she could do is she would just run up every time she saw the missionaries and she'd go, "Hola, elders," and she'd give us a big hug and tell us she loved us, and oh, it meant so much. Um, so this is the entrance to Ushuaia. Here you can see here. I mean, this is a good probably 3 feet of snow, if not more. Right here at the entrance of the Ushuaia sign. So right on the other side of the sign is another part of the ward boundaries. It was in the sister missionaries area, but it was still part of the ward boundaries. We were going to Sister Maidana's house to go eat with them, and we decided to take this picture because the Ushuaia sign was all lit up. It was actually really cool. So let's see. Let's go back here a couple pictures. So this was our district. My first transfer in Ushuaia, I was in the district of Hermano Oliveira and Sister Beasley, and then I was called the next transfer to be the district leader over this whole district. And these two sisters came in and they whitewashed Elder Prez and Elder Dennis out, so they pink washed the area. And it was kind of funny because the elders that were in the area before them were a little bit disobedient at times. Anyways, one day we're sitting there and I get a phone call from the sisters. We're doing our companionship study one day, about 3 days after getting to the area. And Hermana Carrasco, I think, was the one that called us. And she's like, "Elders, our toilet's clogged." And I was like, "Okay, why are you calling to tell me your toilet is clogged?" Like, I can't do anything about it. And they're like, "No, it's like clogged really bad." And I was like, "Well, use your plunger. You've got a plunger, I'm pretty sure." And I was kind of a savage to him because I'm like, why are you calling me about a clogged toilet? I was like, "Okay." And I was just like, just figure it out. It's not terribly hard to figure out how to unclog a toilet. And so I hang up the phone with them, and about 20 minutes later, I get a phone call back. "Elder, you'll never believe what happened." And I was like, "What?" And they're like, "We plunged our toilet and guess what came out?" I was like, "Poop?" Like, what comes out of a toilet? And they're like, "No, somebody flushed a cell phone down our toilet." And I'm just like, "What?" And it wasn't like a burner flip phone. I mean, it was like a touchscreen Android cell phone. So it was just super random. Somebody had flushed a cell phone down their toilet, and the only people that had lived there over the last couple of years were elders. So I assume the cell phone was a contraband cell phone that was brought into the mission by one of the missionaries and used and then flushed. So I'm not sure how that got there, but it was quite a funny conversation to have with the sister missionaries. "I pulled a cell phone out of the toilet." So it's pretty funny. Here's the hike up to Dos Banderas. This is right before the incline where they have kind of the drop off. So super pretty picture. On no editing or filters on this. It's just one day. This was like 3 in the afternoon. This is how it got. There was no sun. Sun wouldn't come out. It would just be kind of like light. This was later in the summer, I think. So it was kind of more sunny, but like, yeah, you didn't really see the sun. It just kind of like a haze, a glow. It's kind of crazy. Here, I took this picture right in at the bay, the Ushuaia Bay. It was pretty cool. Back here, they have a naval base, an Argentine naval base back here. And so that was one of like their destroyer ships, which is just like this little tiny ship. Anyways, so that was pretty cool to see. This is me setting up my camera. I think Elder Dixon took this picture. Setting up my camera to take some pictures with Elder Dixon and Elder Peterson, which was pretty fun. So, let's see here. This is what my area was like. These were cabins. These were like really, really nice cabins. This was like a resort, I think, like a hotel resort. I can't remember what it was called. But anyways, there was like super nice cabins right here, which it generally wasn't that way. Most of the houses did not look like that. This is Hard Rock Cafe. So being super touristy, Ushuaia had a Hard Rock Cafe. And so on top of the Hard Rock Cafe, they had a bowling alley. So we all went and took some fun pictures. We had a cool little district or Montelivia or Montelivia activity. So the sisters and us, it was really fun. It was really exciting to go bowling with them. So it was a lot of fun. Um, apparently this photo is not going to pull up right now. I don't know what's going on with that. Interesting. But it's all right. We're at about 20 minutes anyways, so that's how long I generally have my episodes for. So I guess I'll leave off with us bowling. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I will see you guys on the next one. Later.